So what causes milia and what can you do to get rid of them? So milia are these tiny little white bumps that you might see. They often appear around the eye area, but they can appear on the cheeks and on the forehead, for example. And you might think, oh, they're a whitehead, but they're not. They are different. And once you know what you're looking at, you can see them. It's also tricky to extract them yourself. You might be very tempted to think, oh, I've got a whitehead there, let me squeeze it. It's not really the solution. I think the first thing, particularly if they're around the eyes, is to make sure you have, again, a proper diagnosis. I know I say this time and again, but milia can be confused with something called syringoma. And if it's that, it can be a little bit more tricky to treat. So don't try and do things yourself. Have a consultation, see an expert. Why they happen? Well, they're a buildup of keratin from the sweat gland, and you essentially end up with this little bump of keratin that has nowhere to go. Often it's to do with what you're doing in your skincare routine. It may be that you're using the wrong products in the wrong areas. It may be that you're not stimulating enough cell turnover through the use of gentle exfoliants or retinoids, but usually it will stem back to something in your skincare routine. And it's important we understand that. So I would always say the first part of managing milia is to make sure we get your skincare right moving forwards. And it could be that if we do that, you don't need anything further to get rid of them. But what I do find is many of my patients want a quicker solution to them. So yes, they're happy to sort their skincare out, but then they would like to be rid of that milia a little bit quicker. So how can we do that? The first thing we could do is use something called needle diathermy, where we touch this tiny needle onto the milia and it can kind of burst them open, release the contents, and then they settle down. That can work very effectively, especially if people have multiple ones. If you've just got one or two, I will very often just extract those with a tiny sterile needle. I burst it open, extract the contents, and then that can be allowed to heal. But the key is that if you don't want to develop new ones, you need to address why they happened in the first place. And that very often boils back to what you've been doing with your home care routine.
If this content has been useful for you, please give it a thumbs up or send me a little message below. And please do subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this.